Hi, I'm Daniel from Robotics Network, and I'm here with Team 23361, the Cosmobotics, here at the Central Texas Regional, having a great day in qualifications, finishing off as the second alliance, being the semi-finalist in y'all's division, having a great day so far. Learn more about their simplistic robot here on Behind the Bond. So, Cosmobotics, going to decode, one of the #1 questions that you are going to see between teams was going for an indexing robot or a volume-based robot, and that can be a make or break going through your season. Can you tell me what made y'all go for a solely volume-based robot? If that's something that y'all went for from the very beginning, or maybe y'all change off an indexer later on, or can you just tell me about how you approach the game?
Yeah, so we always knew from the start that having like a spindexer or something was always going to reduce time and cycles, and we know that, you know, it's the teleop period, you're trying to always cycle as much as you can because you want to score as many points. So we felt like, you know, the motif that which you would get at the end is very negligible, and we wanted to focus on shooting as fast as we can. So we started to do this with this pass-through design, as you can see here. So we have the balls stacked up in here. It pulls up all the balls in the slant, and basically, it basically pulls up all the balls here, and this intake, which is a mechanism intake, it's able to vector the balls inward and just have it pull up on this ramp over here. It's just a metal go build a ramp. We used I think like I forgot exactly what it's called, but it's like one of those. But yeah, basically it uses one of those, and we set it up at an angle to a point that it can just pull up and stay directly towards the shooter. And then we have a 1150 RPM motor right here driving this gecko over here, and basically whenever we need to shoot, it'll rotate this motor and it'll feed it to the shooter in order for it to shoot.
Before we get to our next segment, we'd like to thank the following. Studica Robotics is inspiring teams to build better robots with their new array of FTC team options. Check out their updated bevel gears and Maverick hex shaft motors, planetary gearbox options, and 6mm hex components and shafts for extreme power transmission. Go to studica.com/robots to learn more and apply for discounts. It isn't too late to order competition apparel for your team at FRC Tees. Founded by First alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with expedited options available, go to frctees.com to see why hundreds of teams are making FRC Tees their first choice for their apparel needs. That's frctees.com.
Yeah, so going to y'all's intake, it seems like you'll have a lot of materials here. You'll have some circle tubing here, and it seems like you'll have some y'all's mechanism wheels that you mentioned. You have some, looks like cut up gecko wheels. Can y'all tell you if you'll play with different materials throughout the year, or if this is just something that y'all had a one and go, very simplistic, and that worked good for y'all throughout the year?
Yeah, for sure. So we actually experimented with a lot of different intake designs. So I believe at first we did like a alternating thing. We had like a surgical tubing and then a gecko wheel and then surgical tubing, and we had that for the entire thing. We found that mostly unnecessary. We thought it would also kind of stall because the gecko wheels would do too much compression, and we iterated on this a couple of times. You know, then we tried all surgical tubing, and it was really bad at holding the balls in while we were driving. So then we opted for this intake because we can use the mechanism wheels to vector the balls inwards, and we wouldn't need super large funnels. So that would just allow us to extend our intake super big. And then we also had gecko wheels only in the center because these are really good at intaking the balls and keeping it because of the friction on the gecko wheels. And then we also have surgical tubing. There is some surgical tubing here, but they fell out. But this is just for a longer reach. So
yeah, and going into y'all's intake more, it seems like I have a very steep intake here. That's not something I've seen throughout Decode. Can y'all tell me if that has caused y'all any iteration throughout the season?
Yeah, so having a steep intake design, we had to make a few adjustments to our ramp and our intake in order to intake balls effectively. So one of the first changes we made was adding this cat tongue grip tape onto our ramp. This allowed us to keep our grip within the shooter, within the chamber, so that we can shoot artifacts efficiently. Additionally, we added these aligners. They are shafts covered by grip tape. These shafts align the balls so that they enter our shooter consistently every time.
Yeah. Also, if you look at the stages, there only used to be 3 stages. So there was this one, and this one. We had to add this one because it's so steep that it didn't transfer properly at times.
Yeah. Okay, and going more into your shooter, it seems like I'll have a very consistent shooter throughout the year, and it seems like I'll opt for a very different design here with a, I guess, dual horizontal shooter. What went into the design process on that?
Yeah, so for sure. So we originally opted for a dual horizontal flywheel design because we saw inspiration from like a tennis ball launcher or, you know, those football launchers. And it was generally easier to build with just Go Builder parts when we were originally experimenting with it. And we did have a lot of problems because at first, if the ball didn't come in through straight, then, you know, the slight spin of the ball would exaggerate like the direction the ball would be shooting. So in order to combat this, we have this aligner here. Like Theo said, we have these shafts that make it centered. Also, when we did add these flywheel weights, since these are Vex flywheel weights, it was sort of eccentric to the Go Builder flywheel weight. We made a aligner. It's kind of hard to see, but it makes sure that the weight is always in the middle, and this prevents as little oscillation as possible for each individual flywheel, ensuring that the shooter shoots straight.
Yeah, and going to your software a little bit, it seems like you're super versatile around the field with no adjustable hood, and you're able to shoot basically in virtually anywhere around the field. Can you tell me how you combat that with just a very simplistic horizontal shooter design? If that's something software or just something that y'all had based off your flywheel weights or something of the sort?
Yeah, so obviously with this very simplistic design using just Go Builder parts, it was easy to prototype on, but it also meant we had to do a lot of software in order to make it work, right? So let's start with some of the software that we implemented early in the season. First off, we used a regular internal motor encoder on our 6,000 RPM. This is a 6,000 RPM Go Builder motor. And when it powers the 2 flywheels, they run at the same velocity because it's powered by chain. And taking the motor encoder, we measure in ticks per second using FTC Lib's angular velocity library, and that allows us to know the angular velocity of our flywheel. To control the angular velocity of our flywheel, we use a combination of PID, feed forward, and we also added a voltage compensation component. PID and feed forward are pretty common, so I won't go into that. But for our voltage compensation component, throughout the match, we multiply by basically a constant that compensates for voltage throughout the match. So as voltage sags, our shooter performs the same regardless.
Yeah. Sorry. And going more into the other sensors in your robots, can you tell me if there's any other fail-safes or sensors? Because it seems like it's super consistent throughout matches.
Yeah, so an example of a fail-safe means you need a primary system and then a backup system. So for our most recent competition, we localize on the field using our pinpoint and odometry, right? You can see underneath the bot, we have a Go Builder 4-bar odometry, and we have a pinpoint computer in there. That allows us to know our position on the field, but occasionally that does get off. So we also implemented a Limelight 3A camera, which uses Megatag 2 in order to relocalize the odometry whenever necessary. Additionally, for fail-safe purposes, as a driver, when you're intaking, vision-wise, if the back of the robot is facing towards the driver, it's difficult to see if there's balls. So we added this Go Builder laser distance sensor in here. You can see the indicator light when I pass my finger through it. That allows us to know when artifacts are entering our intake and allow us to shoot consistently. Finally, we have this RGB indicator light, which allows us to tell status of our robot so that if something is going wrong, the driver knows and we can implement.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Cosmobotics. You'll have a very fantastic day. Y'all advanced to the Texas Cup, finishing off very strong today. I'm Daniel from Robotics Network, and this has been 23361, the Cosmobotics.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. It isn't too late to order competition apparel for your team at FRC Tees. Founded by First alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with expedited options available, go to frctees.com to see why hundreds of teams are making FRC Tees their first choice for their apparel needs. That's frctees.com. Studica Robotics is inspiring teams to build better robots with their new array of FTC team options. Check out their updated bevel gears and Maverick hex shaft motors, Planetary gearbox options, and 6mm hex components and shafts for extreme power transmission. Go to studica.com/robots to learn more and apply for discounts.